I mean, your full name.
Laurent Notin.
Laurent Notin.
Yeah, not bad.
Without saying it in a really French way, Laurent Notin. Yeah,
that's good enough.
Yeah.
Very, very good, actually.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV.
All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Kids in the Room podcast. Today we've got Laurent Notin on the actual podcast. Did I say that right or did I butcher it? Yeah.
No, that was really good.
Yeah, oui. Yeah, man. So, man, what's going on? Can you tell everybody, like, how you feeling today and, like, what brought you on the show and, like, what is your magic? Yeah.
So, well, it's already 8 p.m., like 8:20 p.m. here. So I live in Finland. I'm French originally. So my day is done pretty much. After you, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
I've been living overseas. I've been living in Finland for 2 years, but I've been living overseas for 22 years. I left France when I was 23. I went to a country in Southeast Asia called Laos, originally for 9 months, and then we stayed, 6.5 years because life happened, and then moved to Cambodia, moved to Vietnam, came back to Cambodia, and then moved to Finland. So that is living overseas has been a big part of my life. And otherwise, 4 years ago, I decided that I would become an entrepreneur, and I'm a coach to entrepreneurs now. I've been doing that for 4 years. Also, mentor startups, and I'm also a podcast host.
All right, cool, man. That's amazing stuff. So you mentor founders and startups.
Yes.
Like, how do you mentor them?
Yeah.
What's missing about them?
Where should I start? How long do we have?
We've got a while. Let's do it. Let's dig in, man. Let's go. What are you mentoring, man?
So I specialized with entrepreneurship maybe is what I consider being the most difficult job there is. It's very demanding. It's full of uncertainty, but at the same time, it's very exciting. All the entrepreneurs I know, they're very passionate about what they do. They don't count their hours, but they reach a point in their entrepreneurship journey where they get stuck. When you are facing a wall, if you imagine you have your wall, your head, like on the wall, and it's so close to the wall that you can get your head up or down. You can get your head, you can turn it right or left. When you're like this, you can't see how high the wall is and where are the exits, if there are any exits. And entrepreneurs, startup funders, they tend to fall into that category of people, but most of people, where they get stuck into situations like this because their heads are close to the wall because they spend a lot of time into the daily operations, day-to-day operations, being very consuming, and they forget to take a step back out of the business, look at the big picture, and focus on things like, a strategy, for instance. So this is where I help. I help them get out of that wall. I help them get unlocked from situations that they have created. The way I like to put it is I help them avoid being the bottleneck in their business.
Okay. And, how does that, so normally you come in, you start, you coach them, you start, how are you getting like referrals? Like, how are you getting the buy-in? Like, how's that working out?
So when I started 4 years ago, I started in Asia where I had a good network. And what I did is that I approached people I knew. So I approached entrepreneurs, business funders that I knew. And this is how I got my first clients. Then I moved to Finland, and I had to find a way to find those new clients. So I created a podcast. And my podcast helps me. So my podcast is called Interviews, Cracking the Entrepreneurship Code. And I created the podcast for 2 reasons mainly. Number one reason is because I needed information about entrepreneurship so that I can better advise my clients. And what is the best than talking to entrepreneurs. You collect the information from the primary sources of info. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because I needed to find clients, and so I talked to those entrepreneurs on my show, and then I try to convert them into clients, or they help me build my profile, and so they can connect me with people they know.
Wow, that's cool. So you basically you interviewed people, and then you used that as like some type of like crowdsourcing way to get new prospects for your business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, at the same time, I'm building my network here in Finland. I'm trying to get some clients here.
Right. Yeah. But you're not Finnish. You're actually from France, correct?
No. Yes.
Yeah. Finland. I think that's what, land of the Vikings, or one of the lands of Vikings ancestors. Right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But the Denmark is a bigger Viking land, if I am not mistaken.
Danish for Danes. Yeah, got it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but they came in France too as well. So
yeah. They went far. Then I watched the series called Vikings, and on I think it started on Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't watched it, it's a great series, and you follow a little bit what all the Vikings did. They went all the way down to Africa, and then of course, well, we think they went to the US too.
Oh yeah, we know they went to the US. We found remnants of them in near the Canadian area.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. We found old ornaments and different things like that were dug out of the ground. Yeah, it's proven. It was Leif Erikson who actually went to the Americas first, but he didn't go too far in. He literally returned back. And I think the reasoning was why he returned was because he was supposedly, given something or something happened where he returned, and he, went back on his crew, and he never supposedly returned back again, which was like irony, right? He discovered it, and then he's like, oh yeah, well, let's go back. I have something else happen, so I need to return back to the people over in, Greenland and things like that. And he never returned back, and so they never returned, supposedly. Right. So this is only evidence that we have. Yeah, Leif Erikson. Yes. Him and a couple of Vikings were the ones who discovered America. Yeah, they found their whole settlement and everything else like that. They found their tools and things like that. It's a fact that they were here at least before Christopher Columbus was. Yeah. That's updated. Yeah, you can dig on that later. But yeah, man, maybe where you.
I will. It's very fascinating. The history of Vikings. It's fascinating. Some of the things they were doing were very advanced. For instance, the way they were, the place women had in the society, way more advanced than in some countries today.
A lot of countries today. Yeah.
Yeah,
man. Like most of the world. I don't know a country that has a female lead or president. Yeah.
Oh, here in Finland, Prime Minister she's a woman.
There we go.
Estonia, the neighbor, she's also a woman.
That's amazing.
Angela Merkel in Germany, she stayed in power for 18 years, and she's gonna retire now. Well, at least she's leaving a position. So, and here, Finland is really like the women in the society here in Finland. The women have a very, very important place in the society here. You see they are, well, when we're talking about gender equality, Finland is a great representation of that.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I didn't know about those.
It is.
You don't hear those. You don't hear those marketed out too much. I wonder why.
Maybe because it's a world dominated by men.
I think I can agree on that, man, for sure. It's wild, man. Yeah, man. I mean, Vikings were, some, amazing group of people. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people here, even on the podcast, have a lot of Viking descendants. You've got awesome blonde hair.
Possibly.
Or do you have blonde hair? What do you got?
I do. When I had hair,
yeah, right.
I used to be blonde. Yeah,
blonde hair and blue eyes.
Now
man.
they turn more like white.
Yeah. You might have had some Viking ancestors somewhere down there. That's
Possibly, I don't know.
could be
Yeah,
also some symptoms of some Nordic.
yeah,
You just never know. Yeah.
yeah,
But you can't tell always by looking at people, right? Because I mean, it's been thousands of years, so they have ancestors
yeah.
that spread all around the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's true that here, when I go around here, I melt very well. Like they think I am one of them.
Yeah. You could easily pass as somebody Nordic for sure. Nobody would ever like
Yeah.
guess. Like, what? It's French? No, we, you? No. Yeah, because those are like typical Nordic phenotypes, with the blue eyes and the blonde hair and things like that.
Mm.
It's kind of typical, I would say, that a lot of people in that region have. But of course, there's others, right? There's not like one thing. But that's pretty awesome. But why'd you move to Finland out of all places, man? Why not France? You know the language easier. I mean, like why?
Because I met a woman, and she's Finnish.
Oh, there
And
you go.
she had lived. Yeah, we met in Cambodia, and she had lived overseas for 7, 8 years, and we both wanted to go back to Europe. I was fed up of Asia. After 20 years, it was time, And also, she also wanted to leave Asia, and so we discussed. Then we had the choice about France or Finland, and I didn't want to go back to France, so we went to Finland.
Wow.
Yeah.
20 years. Cambodia. What's in Cambodia
Yeah.
for
Well,
20 years?
Asia.
Asia in
So,
general. What's out there, man? 20 years. Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating over there. It's like I said, we moved initially for 9 months. So I was with someone else. So I went to Asia with a different woman, and initially for 9 months, and we stayed like 6.5 years in Laos, the first country where we were. Then we moved to Cambodia because I found a job in Cambodia. Then Vietnam, back to Cambodia. But it was fascinating. It was like so. You imagine I was there in 1999, so that was a long time ago. There was the countries were starting to boom. Like there was like I lived the I think this economic boom of Southeast Asia. I've lived it. I was there, and it's still. I mean, the countries are still going up like fast, but there's so much happening all the time. And when you have an entrepreneurial mind, you always you always want to build stuff, and that's what in Asia, that's what happened all the time. They build stuff all the time. They never stop, and that was what hooked me. That dynamism, the fact that I was working for small companies, but I had a lot of responsibilities, and I was just enjoying it until it was too much. Until it came to the point where everything I liked, I started hated it, and it was time that it was time for something new.
Why did that happen? Why do you think that happened? Why did you start hating it?
Too much of always the same thing. You start turning into circles.
Like repetition.
That, yeah, repetition, and all the little things that you thought were great and were pushing you to give the best, every day. After a while, they just are in your face, and you're bored about it because you don't see any changes. Or maybe there are changes, or maybe it doesn't change as fast as you want. And yeah, I needed also reach a point where I wanted to change environment. I wanted to be closer to nature. I mean, don't get me wrong. In Asia, you got fantastic sand beaches, with the palm trees and everything, rice fields, the rice field right after the rainy season. It's absolutely fantastic, beautiful sunsets. But that's not what I wanted anymore. I wanted something like Finland has, forest, lake. I wanted to be closer to nature, which is it's very difficult to have in Asia. All these big capital, Bangkok, Phnom Penh now, Kuala Lumpur, the huge cities with very little green, and it never stops. It never stops. I just wanted also, just to slow down a little bit.
Right. You felt like you got a little bit older. You felt like you wanted to slow down.
Yeah.
You got tired of this inner city. You wanted a change of scenery, and you was like, yeah, I got to get out. And how about
Yes,
how about
exactly.
in the job market? You say that kind of got stagnant too as well.
Well, for me,
Yeah.
I mean, I had created my own company at that time. I started being a coach in Asia, so it wasn't for me. It was easy to move because I thought, I don't need to find a job. I already have a job. I need to not do that in a new country in Finland. What was difficult was the fact that I under evaluated the difficulty that I would face building a network here in Finland. I was a bit complacent, I have to say, and so that coupled with the pandemic, I took a big slap in the face, big wake up call back last year, and that was like in January. I was like, "Ooh, this year is gonna be super difficult."
Yeah, man. Pandemic, super difficult. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was difficult for a lot of people. So
Hmm.
you basically,
Indeed.
but how did you? So you did survive. You made
I
it.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you first got into this, how did you just like start? How did you start thinking about how you're going to make money? Like, how did you think about like how I'm going to charge people and for my time and my money? Like, how do you break that down?
That was so I charge on an hour basis. That's how coaching works. That's how. So what I did is that basically I thought about how much do I want to make per month, and I divide that by 22 days, which is kind of the number of working days in a month, and divide it by 8 hours a day, and I gave me my hourly rate.
Awesome.
And that's how I started.
Amazing. So you just basically said, "Hey, this is what I want to make,"
Yeah,
and was it what I want to make, or was it what I need to make?
it was what I would like to make,
Ah,
considering that I was living in Asia, so the life is not as expensive as it can be here, and that's how I calculated it.
but what happened when you moved over to Finland?
I had to I had to review my fees. I had to increase them, obviously, because life is way way more expensive here. But it was kind of the same calculation. I just look at, okay, this is my expenses. That's the minimum I need to get to cover all the expenses, and this is how much I would like to make, and then I did the same exercise.
Right. And then how did you kind of itemize your time? Like, I mean, like, because most people might think like, okay, so you're consulting, for businesses. What are you doing? You're just talking. So like, like how many times can you do that? Like, what goes into all this?
Yeah, yeah. So there's no automation for the moment. I'm not. That's my next step. So what I would like to do next is that I would like to create an online training course, and then sell it online. But today I am in a stage where my time is limited. I have 8 hours a day. So I only coach, if I were to coach like full time, that would be like 8 hours per day. So I can't scale up. But I am absolutely fine with that. This is a decision that I made because I'm not chasing the money. I'm chasing my quality of life. I used to be working a lot. I worked a lot. I worked to the point, like sometimes like 10, 12 hours every day. Easy. I did that. As a result, what did I get? Well, I had a great job. I had a lot of money. I mean, I was enjoying life, but was I really? Because this resulted into me doing a burnout. I split with my ex, and I have not enjoyed my kids and spending time with my kids as much as I wanted to. Okay, and that is over. I don't want to do that again. So my priority now, I'm 45. My priority is just to enjoy the life, is to do what I want to do, and being an entrepreneur enables me that I can express myself. It's being able to have an impact, helping people, that's my why. I want to help people. This is I just can't. It's stronger than me. I can't help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to be doing that as long as I can and as much as I can. And I also want at the same time to be able to enjoy my new partner, my kids, take a bit of time for me, enjoy life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes all sense. And so you've got new kids and things like that, or?
No, I still have the same.
Okay,
no
okay,
new
okay,
kids.
okay.
They
No
are
new
they are
kids.
19 and 15. One of them lives with us here in Finland, and the other one lives in Morocco with his mother.
Oh, wow. Cool. Had a
Mm.
Moroccan wife. Cool. Yeah.
No, she's French.
She's
No,
French.
she's not
Oh,
Moroccan.
but
She's
she's
French, but she
French.
moved
Morocco.
when I moved. Yeah,
Got it. They speak French too.
but when I
Morocco.
moved from Asia, I moved to Finland, and she moved to Morocco.
Wow. Why Morocco?
Yeah, she found a job there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. All right, cool. Yeah, there you go. Found a job there. Go.
Mm.
Morocco. Why not?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Hey, you went to Finland. Why can't you go to Morocco? Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's crazy, man. So, wow, you went on this decent journey. You had to situate yourself. So I think like I still didn't get the point of like, now you're here, you've gotten your money in a situation, so you're recalculating things, but like how I don't get like what you're doing within your time, like you're coaching people, like once you've coached somebody, initially, what is that? How many? It takes 4 hours, like 5 hours. How long does it take? Like, how do you itemize that and consistently go? Like, how does it work?
So when I go into a coaching collaboration with a client, usually it's going to last for 6 months because it takes long to get to see any results. Now, what happens during those 6 months is that I'm going to meet with my client every other week. And every other week, we're going to meet for about 1 hour, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. It really depends. And that's the core work, the coaching. This is when the coaching happens. So that is around like 12 sessions over 6 months. Now, on top of that, I always add some what I call floating hours that they can take anytime they want. Maybe because they have an important issue they want to discuss, and so they give me a call and we talk about it. Okay, and plus that comes support on WhatsApp. So I use WhatsApp a lot, and we're always connected through WhatsApp. Exchanging, making sure that everything is going fine, sending them some articles or links to videos or blogs or whatever, or podcasts that may be relevant to the issue they have. And that's pretty much the work I do, how it is structured.
Wow. Yeah. So you pretty much you put it down to like 12 hours. I mean, 12 sessions
12
in 6 months.
It's 12 sessions plus floating hours plus the continuous work. But all the work is really done by my clients. When coaching is about transforming people. So coaching believes that everybody has the answers in them, but sometimes it needs external help to dig the answers. You can't find those answers by yourself because like I said, you're stuck. And that's when coaching comes in. So my job is to guide my clients to the answers. How we do that in a session, I ask questions. Sometimes I give advice because I'm on the edge of, a coach / a mentor. And I have 20 years of experience working for entrepreneurs and with entrepreneurs. But the rest of the work is really done by my clients. What is really important is at the end of every session, they leave with some sort of a homework, a small list of actions to do between now and the next session, because you want to get things done. You want to get to results. Otherwise, there's no point.
Right. Yeah. You got to get the results. So wait, so how do you find out those results again? Like, how are you keeping track of that?
So before we enter into the coaching session or into the coaching collaboration, I will determine with my clients what I call key success indicators. Usually I use 3 of them. So basically, I use them as like the goals, if you want to. but to measure the progress of my clients, and to make sure that we follow some sort of a path, right? So we don't talk about too many things and things that are not related. And those goals are the way we measure success. That's why I call them key success indicators. If we achieve them before the end of the session, before the end of the collaboration, before the end of the 6 months, then we change them. We put new ones. And those key success indicators can be absolutely anything. It really depends on my client. So I have a list of questions that I would ask before we start our first coaching session. And so that will force them to sit down and really think about what it is that they want out of this coaching collaboration.
Yeah. So you don't get equity off of these things, or, you just get like this little fee, and you help build these entrepreneurs, and, they make their $1 billion, and you kind of go home and collect your couple of hundred.
Yeah.
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 How does that sound fair?
Yeah. I have. Yeah.
How does that sound fair?
It's no, but it's interesting what you're saying, because I was discussing with a friend of mine, another is a coach also, but in a real estate sector. He was telling me this. He said, you and I, we're very good at having others make money, but we're not good at doing it for ourselves. But it doesn't matter because we don't care. And it's just, that's kind of what I feel. I have clients who have been making a lot of money, very, very, very successful. And I'm very humble that they have chosen me as their coach.
Right. I mean,
I love it for that.
Right. I mean, that's awesome, right? But at the same time, think about how much effort and how much time you can spend on helping a lot more people, getting your system together, that you could be doing if you were actually making more residual income.
True. But coaching is not about putting people in a box. And that's what automation does. You put people in a box. What I do is one-on-one coaching. I'm not selling any program. I'm not selling any coaching program. I'm not making any promises. I'm not telling you, hey, you're going to get, you're going to increase your revenue by 10x in the next 3 months. That's not what I'm doing at all. And I don't want to do that because I don't believe in it. That's not what entrepreneurship is about. I'm a coach to entrepreneur. Those people, entrepreneurship takes time. Entrepreneurship is a journey. It takes time to get there. And what I want is I want to be with them for as long as I can be. I have a client, for example, in Vietnam. We started together 4 years ago. I'm still with them. I have another one in Thailand, started with them like 3 years ago. I started with them from scratch. I started with them they started the business 3 years ago. And the business we were just talking about it on a piece of paper. But I'm still with them. And so I'm really way more interested in building that relationship and seeing them grow, than automating my process.
And I agree with that.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. But I'm not saying just automating your process. I know you were saying earlier that you were thinking about putting up some type of like program together. So this is where I came back with this
online
automation.
training.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. So like online training. But that's what I'm saying though. If you were in a situation to where you had a better deal, to where, you were working with them, you helping them build their businesses to $1 million or maybe even $1 billion industry, you'd have more time if you had more skin in the game than just like, because you did mention that you guys don't really, you were talking to your other real estate agent and things like that, and said, you and your friend, basically you guys didn't really care about the money, right? But we're all in this to profit. We needed to survive, right? So it's like, they're in it to profit. I mean, they're not hiring you because they don't want to profit, right? They would never hire you if they didn't want to profit. So it's like, why not get something to where you're comfortable and where you don't have to, keep on chasing your tail every couple of months, where you can be more relaxed and you're getting more skin in the game because you're helping these people build big businesses. Think about this. Sean Parker, Facebook, right? He's the guy who introduced Zuckerberg to a lot of the investors, helped him out, build his infrastructure legally to put him on top to where he is right now, or he would be kicked off the company years ago, or whatever it may be. But Sean Parker came in, he got a percentage of the company. He got some equity. Within 6 months, this guy's like, he has equity to $1 billion company roughly.
Yes.
Did the same thing you did.
Yes. So, okay. So the first thing is I know that I'm also, I understand I need to develop my business, which is why I want to create these online training courses. And that's my next big thing, because I need, I'm not stupid. I need some passive income. Now, on the other aspect is, one thing is I define, I'm very clear about who I want to coach, who my clients are.
Right.
Very, very clear. And so those people I'm usually helping, they are not there yet most of the time. They're more at the like 4 or 5 years, around 4 or 5 years experience running the business. So they're not that big. And I like to cater to those type of people more. The people that I coach who are big, they are too big already for me to come and say, hey, I want a piece of the pie.
Right. But why not start off
Okay.
when they're early?
So that's the idea. It's to start off with. That's why also I'm a startup mentor. It's because it also enables me. I'm involved in incubators and accelerators, and it enables me to see what's going on in the startup world, and hopefully, being able to get some equity against advice.
And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Laurent. This is what I'm saying.
Mm.
Some piece of the pie. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
of course.
get it. You're great at business. You want to help people, but people who help a lot of people get paid. They get paid, man.
Sure.
They fucking get paid. They do. They get paid. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Jeff Bezos is helping how many people with Amazon, but he's getting paid. Like there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of things happening in the world where people are helping people, but they get paid. I think there was like a quote where it says, I'm not exactly sure who said it. I don't know if it was Elon Musk or someone else, but you get paid in direct proportion of the difficulty of the problem that you are solving. Right.
True.
So it's like, if you feel that your problem you're trying to solve is difficult, right?
Yeah.
And you're one of
Yeah.
the kind,
But
man.
it's
Why not?
Yeah.
Cut the pie. They're gonna take the money. They're charging their clients. They're charging
True.
people. They're not gonna say, oh no, I just really want to help you. Here's some food. Oh, here's some of my business for free. Oh, take a discount for free because I don't really care about the money. So why would you? Take what's fair. I'm not saying being greedy. Don't be greedy. Don't try to take everything in and rip somebody off and things like that. Not saying that you would, but I'm saying don't do that. I wouldn't do that. But I'm saying like get where you feel like you deserve. It allows you to help more people. There's nothing wrong with asking. The law of asking. Ask. Why not? Why not you?
Indeed.
You got kids in
Fair enough.
Morocco. You got kids here. I mean, like, come on, man. They need some money, man. They need money. They need some money to do the nice, lavish things that they want to do in life, and not even lavish, just their basic things. And you are a provider. You're a dad. Like, there's nothing wrong with providing. There's nothing wrong with it, man. Look at that. You got the nice Uncle Sam behind you. I want you for the USA. I mean, this is all about capitalism. This is the army, of course, but still.
I bought it in New York, actually.
There you go. There you go. You got to use that samurai sword behind you, man, and just start slicing and dicing these prices, man. And people respect you, man. Sometimes when you add a pretty price on your creativity, because then they know it's of value at sometimes, and people don't take you for granted. Not to say that they are now, but it's like sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. You have to ask, because your value and the knowledge that you have of 20 some odd years, that's a lot.
You're absolutely right, Coach.
There you go.
I have to say there's something I've never been really good at. I recognize it. That's why I'm way better at helping others, because I can tell them this kind of stuff and not do it for myself.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the creative curse in some people, where they just overthink things and they get lost in the process, And something that you're coaching other people is like, the same type of situations where you're like, dude, I'm getting fucking lost in the process, where I'm not thinking about me and what I need to do. And it's like, you got to take care of yourself first before you can help others. How do you properly take care of yourself if you're spending all of your time stretching yourself out, watering yourself down to help others, and then you're just giving them the saturated version of Laurent, right? you could be giving them the full juice, the full metal jacket, right? I just believe like there's just a lot of opportunity towards, yourself, to where you can just be asking for what you kind of worked for, not really saying you're begging people. It's not about that. It's not about, putting people in an uncomfortable position. It's about getting what you've been paid, dude, and the hard work that you're putting in there. And, if they're working with you, they respect that, obviously. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah.
I never said it was. I never said that.
That is true. You
But it's
you
interesting.
didn't say that. You didn't say that. But what you did say, what was that you just never really thought about it. And I think that's just like a thing, of self-help people. They end up in this, cycle where they're just like, I want to help people. I want to help people. And it's just like, you got to help your fucking self, man, to help other people efficiently. And I think we forget and neglect ourselves when we spend so much time nurturing others and, throwing water on their plant and seeds, and we're not watering our own at home. Like even you said, I was working 12 hours a day, and I didn't get to raise my kids like I wanted to. I was just working. So there you are, seeding, throwing water on some seeds of other people's lives. But then your own, you weren't really watering in that enough, right? You didn't nourish yourself. So you weren't giving your 150% to others because you were spreading yourself thin.
Mm-hmm.
We do that as creatives.
When I was working that hard, I was not a coach yet. I was working in the market research industry, but I was running a company. Well, helping others, again, it's kind of the same. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I sometimes helping others, it's you do it when it's like it's a calling. For me, it's really a calling, to the point where I've been slapped in the face because I wanted to help others, and I was just, I would get involved, but I would not check. I would not ask for permission first. I would not ask people, "Hey, can I help you?" And so I would jump into situations and trying to solve the situation for them, and they didn't want me there. And so it backlashed at me. It's several times that it happened to me, and I had to really learn to change that. Like sometimes I really have to, slap me on my arm or whatever, remind myself that no, don't get involved, because you cannot save everyone.
Not everybody wants to be saved.
And not everybody wants to be saved, yeah.
Yeah, some people want to drown. Yeah. They like drowning. They want to just like the torture. They like the agony of life. And some people just have this like perfectionism thing where they think they know it all, and you come in there with your help and support, and it's like, who the fuck are you, man?
Yeah.
Who are you to help me? I just, let me do this. I can figure this out myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that happens. So what did you do to change that?
Just work on myself a lot. I've been doing introspection for the past 11 years.
But I guess I'm asking more like, sorry about that, is like, how are you now avoiding, the situation to where you were just throwing yourself out there, offering help for people and they didn't want it? So now how are you doing it? How are you getting incoming and inbound? Like what changed? That's what I guess that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I am more aware of myself. I think what has changed a lot is self-awareness. So I'm trying to develop that as much as I can, and listen to what's going on in me, in my body, physically, but also emotionally. And trying to, as soon as for instance, I give you a good example. I have to fight the imposter syndrome, like a lot of people have. And by doing introspection, I realized that when I struggle with the imposter syndrome, what's happening with my body is that my body is retracted on itself, like I'm closing myself like a clamp, and physically I can feel it. Now that I am able to understand what's happening with me physically when I struggle with the imposter syndrome, I'm able to stop it more easily than before and change it. So if I'm sitting on my chair and I'm going down and my shoulders are going down, my head is going to my shoulders, and I feel it, I know that I'm fighting my imposter syndrome. Then what I will do is that I will stand straight in my chair. I would force myself to stand straight into my chair. And that's the type of things I'm trying to do more with everything, including like not interfering when people don't want my help. So it's about recognizing the signals and stopping them. It's, preventing me from acting.
Yeah. So why do you feel like you're an imposter?
Because I'm like who I am to coach those people. They're more successful than me. Who I am is everything. I look at social media. Of course, it's playing a big role here. I look at the social media, and there is a lot of social media always glorify those successful people, and I'm like, I would never be there where they are, not even knowing if this is the reality, because most of the time it's not, and that triggers my imposter syndrome. Because I feel I have also a lot of I lack self-confidence. That's another good trigger for my imposter syndrome.
That's interesting that you said you lack self-confidence, but you're teaching people confidence.
I know. I know. And you know what? I've been thinking about it. And I'm able to do that because I know how it feels to lack confidence. And then I can relate, I can build a rapport with my clients because I can connect with them at that level. And I know what they're talking about, and I know what they're going through. And then I can use my own experience going through, dealing with self-confidence, and I can translate it into concrete, tangible experience.
But why do you lack confidence? What do you think it is? Let's dig.
I don't know. It's education, I would say. Start with education. It starts with, I don't know. As far as I can remember, I've always lacked confidence in myself. But I've always been working on it. And I reach a point today where I'm way better at it. Way better. I'm way more confident in myself. Otherwise, I would not be doing this podcast.
Right.
So I don't mind now. And we're talking about earlier on, I was telling you that being an entrepreneur is a way for me to express myself. And that has definitely increased my confidence, because I think a lack of one of the issues that I was facing is the fact that, if I start saying things out loud, people may not like what I'm going to say. And they may, and I may have I've received some negative comments. And that has not happened yet. But if it happens, it doesn't matter, because they are my opinions, and some people will not agree with me, and that is absolutely fine, because I know who I want to serve. I cannot please everyone. So the realization of that and going through that has helped me increase my self-confidence.
Right, man. I mean, I can see that, man. But where does this, let's dig deeper. Where does this kick off at? This had to kick off at a childhood trauma, growing up.
I don't know.
You weren't,
honestly.
Did you not get enough fucking hugs? What's going on? Did we not give you hugs as a kid?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I did.
Lots of hugs?
I had a complicated relationship with my father. Now it's going better, but was a bit complicated. Definitely there's something there. Definitely there's something with the relationship with my parents. The education I received, definitely.
Right. So they kind of passed down something to where it's you don't feel. Did they not cheer you on when you were a kid? Did they not instill certain things to happen in school? There were some trigger points there, man.
Yeah.
We all go through it. We all go through it, but in different ways. Some of us show those weaknesses in different ways. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's not 100%.
Exactly.
I mean, nobody walks in 100% confidence. These things are muscles. We work on these things and we build them through self-awareness and through, picking up skills and talking to people and just, releasing these demons, as we will, ooh, I said a bad word. Yeah. By releasing these demons, we begin to relax. We begin to throw these things off into the world and spread these things off to other things. And so they're just not sticking in you, because if they don't get out of you, it just sits there and it marinates. It never.
And we're very good at creating stories in our heads.
Yeah.
And repeating those stories again and again and again. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help anybody. And most of the time, all the stories that we say, that we tell ourselves, are completely illegitimate. I mean, have you heard about the fog of worry?
No, tell me.
So it's by a guy, I think, called Earl Nightingale, something like that. He tried to quantify the type of, to break down the type of worries that we have. And so he break them down into 5 categories. I don't remember all of them, but I remember two of them. The first one is the big illegitimate worry for nothing. He said something like 70%. And then the last category is the real legitimate worries, 8%. So basically 92% of all our worries are completely illegitimate. They are all in our head. They're absolutely useless, in other words.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's true. I mean, it's really true. I mean, some things that kick in, man, is like we are our own worst enemies, man. We stop ourselves from moving forward, and it's just like fear is what stops and kills dreams, right? And if you just start looking fear in the eye and just start jumping towards the fear, that's when you grow, But, if you look at yourself, you jumped across the world, stayed in different places for 20 some odd years in places you didn't know, and you did it fearlessly, and then you come back and, you don't seem like you have these lack of confidence issues, right? But
yeah.
But yet internally, is it safe
to
say that we kind of have certain issues with it, like certain trigger points to the lack of confidence? Certain arenas get you into this emotional turmoil internally where you're just like, oh, well, there goes the lack of confidence. Because it doesn't seem like, it's complete lack of confidence overall. It seems like in certain arenas and certain directions you go into, it channels this negative emotion of fear and imposter syndrome. I'm not really this rich guy. I'm not really this. But it also, I would also add in there too, is like, you aren't that person yet, because I could see how that could, misrepresentate your emotions and ego. We're like, oh, I'm talking to these billionaires, but I'm not a billionaire. Why would they want to fucking listen to me? I mean, anybody would say that. When I was putting up my podcast, one of the things that I always do and I always think of now, which I always did think of different ways, but I came up with this whole, thing where it's just like, everything that I do, I always have to answer to, who the fuck are you? And I have to answer to that. If there's a weakness in anything, who the fuck are you? Nobody ever heard of your fucking podcast. Who the fuck are you? I've got to show them who the fuck I am. You don't have this. Your sound sounds like shit. Well, who the fuck are you? Why does your sound sound like shit? You got to fix that. Your video looks like shit. Well, who the fuck are you? Well, you got to show them who the fuck you are. What is the highest value of that proves who the fuck you are? And then you might say, oh, well, why do you need to prove? Well, it's not about proving. It's about just putting things to a level of quality. Holding yourself accountable. There's nothing wrong with holding yourself accountable, right? Because when you hold yourself accountable, you might get rid of some of those internal issues of, I'm not there yet, or I'm not blah, blah, blah yet. Just go fight your demons, man. Grab the fucking samurai sword behind you and start slicing them one by one. Jot it down. Start slicing those fuckers away one by one.
I've been doing introspection for 11 years. I've been fighting my demons for 11 years.
It
works.
It does work. It does work. But, sometimes just writing them all down and just jotting them down and really taking them and just focusing on each one at each different time and just going for that one and putting all your energy in one at a separate time and then going to the next one once you defeat it, almost like a game. I think that's where it's at, just sitting around and, just because like if you look at your kind of like issues with, imposter syndrome. If you mention, oh, I'm talking to these guys, and I'm this coach, but I don't have money like them, and I don't have a life like them. I'll never be like them. And it's like, you know what? You can't take all that in at once.
Yeah, but I don't want to be like them. Hold on. Let me be very clear about it. I'm okay not to be like them. It's okay. This is their life. I'm not. That's not what I want. I'm pursuing. That is not my goal.
Right. But why do you feel like an imposter then?
Well, because it's not about that. It's about me. It's about my lack of self confidence. Certainly, it's just about who I am to coach people and tell them what to do.
But see that
I think
see where you dig back at that. You keep on saying, you say, who am I? Who am I to do that? To coach these people. But then you say,
well, these people, everybody, anybody,
okay.
Any client. I'm not putting I'm not pointing out at anyone in particular.
But these are a particular type of people, right? People who are successful, people who have their themselves together somewhat, right? These are people that are moving up the ladder. So these are people that you obviously feel, from what I'm getting, somewhere not confident enough to work with them or to be next to them in some way. You don't feel up to par. Yeah.
But not only with those people, not only with the most successful clients of mine,
right?
In general. But it doesn't trigger all the time. That imposter syndrome. There are specific days, for instance, where the days when I am a bit more tired because I didn't sleep very well. I know those days are very good. It's a very good day for my imposter syndrome to come up and say hi. Did you forget about me? But yeah, I've been working on it. I think also it is something that helps me be a better coach, because I'm working on it. My clients, I know that some of my clients are facing the same issue. And again, I can use my own experience and, relate to them. And that's what it is.
But imposter syndrome, Laurent, come on. Imposter syndrome usually roots from not feeling like, let's look at the word imposter. Feeling not worthy of where you are in some sense, right? This is a rough definition, right?
Yeah.
So, so if we're not feeling worthy, there's a reason usually behind that, right? There's some type of physical or emotional reason that we can quantify and say, we don't feel valuable because there's this benchmark, right? Or there's this level that we feel that we're not at. We feel we don't equal that level. So this is why we feel like an imposter, right? That's why you're impostoring. So the whole thing I guess that's where I dig in and find contradiction internally with emotions is like, and explanations is like, how do we feel like an imposter, right? If we're saying that we're comfortable with who we are. Like, I don't want these things. It's conflict where it's like, hey, I don't want.
I didn't say.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say I was comfortable with who I am.
But I thought you said you didn't want it. I thought you said earlier you didn't want it.
No, it's completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah.
I am not a materialistic man.
Right.
I don't care about how big the house is, how big the car is, how much money I have. I don't care about that. But it's more, everything happens for me. It's more like inside me, and I've always been, see, for example, now you make me talk, and I'm thinking about something. There's a fact also that I've always been a bit complex about my body. I've always been a bit fat until I started CrossFit. Okay. I think that, that lack of confidence, the imposter syndrome also come from that. I was always that complex that I had. Then I started CrossFit, and then I went from fat to way fitter, and I'm 45. I'm in the shape of my life, and I'm really, I feel I'm really fit. But it doesn't mean that I'm fulfilled. And I know sometimes, I know me very well, and I know that I have so much high expectations for myself that my imposter syndrome will continue kicking until I lower the bar.
Ooh. So walk us back through that. So you said, and you feel like the imposter syndrome, you can get through that if you lower the bar for yourself. How do you feel like, so how does that correlate to a person that you don't feel that you're, valuable enough to be coaching, for example? So how do you equivalent that then? What's the bar for that? Because you're imposter now, right?
For that, there's no, it's not that I don't feel I'm worth it. It feels like why me? I mean, if they selected me, it must be that I've been doing. They like what they see. They like something. They like what they see in me, which I'm not able to see for myself.
Right. So you feel,
and then we go back to that lack of confidence.
Interesting. So you get into this point where you say, why me? Even though you've pretty much started working with them.
Yeah.
But you still doubt yourself and say, but why me? Because they're so rich and successful. Why would they want to work with me?
It's not about being rich or successful. It's about, it's more about like, well, they reach a level with a company that pretty awesome what they've done.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is really nice what they've been able to accomplish. And I know I would never be able to reach that level, and I'm fine with it. And then they come to a guy like me.
But do you always have to? Do you have to, Laurent? Do you have to reach their level, or why aren't you reaching your level of expertise, your level of asking for what you want, which goes back to what we were talking about previously. Maybe it has something to do with internally not asking for what you want all the time, and it just kind of bounces back, and you don't get it, and then you start digging and thinking too much. You're like, oh fuck, why me? Oh fuck, well, you know what? The more you ask, and the more you start taking for what you feel you deserve, the more you won't say fucking why me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like money is not the thing that you should always go by in life, right? But it is a signal of confidence in some way. People use it as a reference of confidence. If you make this amount of money, then that means you must have did a fucking amazing job. Doesn't really mean you did.
Yeah, but I don't.
But people feel
no,
that
but
way.
I don't. No, but yes, I know. I mean, that's a very American way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
In Europe, it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
In Europe, in France in particular, when you make too much money, people are looking at you suspicious. Like they're like, "What? Why? If you make that much money, something must be wrong." So we don't have the same connection in Europe that you guys can have in America with regards to money. I think that's also very important to understand. But with regards to me, it's not about the money. It's really about me, myself, and I. It's really about, sometimes I need to. You were talking about the mirror earlier on and looking at, we are our worst enemy. I am my worst enemy, and sometimes I need to look a bit more in the mirror, and I need to be able to. I need to be able to like what I see in the mirror and tell myself that I'm worth it, because some people trust me.
But
what I'm saying?
But I get exactly what you're saying. I get everything you're saying.
Yeah.
I get the whole Americans, the money and the value and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I have to say it. I think the thing is,
Go on.
I call everybody in the world. I don't think it. I think it's not an inherently an American value per se. I think everybody in the world wants to live comfortable, right?
Sure.
And so when we start talking about living comfortable, it doesn't matter, about how much money you don't really care about. Because if you want to live comfortable, guess what it fucking takes?
Yeah.
Money.
But I never said I don't live comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you didn't say that. But you did say that you don't. Why are these successful people working with me? And I know you did say that also inherently that, hey, look, it's because they're doing something so great. And so why me? Why me?
Yeah.
What makes a person successful? What is partial thing that makes them successful? It's what they achieve. But how do we measure achievements?
Well, a lot of people will measure it with money.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That's my point.
No, but it's not about that.
Okay.
No, but it's not about that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but in my case, it's not about that.
Yeah. So you feel so no, I just want to get it straight. So you feel like an imposter because you're working with these successful people who make money, but that's not what you're feeling like an imposter in. Huh?
No. And I don't want people to think that I feel like an imposter all the time. Sometimes it triggers. Not because you were asking me about, my flaws, and one of my flaws is being an imposter.
But do you not know why?
Having to deal being an imposter, having to deal with the imposter syndrome. Like I said, it's because I think it comes from this lack of self-confidence in myself. The fact that I have difficulty to accept myself, and that I think I have difficulties to tell myself that I'm worth it.
So what is your goal to overachieve that? Like if you feel like you're not worth it, because usually there's trigger points that make you think like I'm not worth it. There's usually trigger points. Like these things just don't come out of the space. Like, oh yeah, I just don't feel like I'm worth it. Like why? There's signals, there's trigger points that trigger these emotions. And so if we look at the data, there's certain trigger points that consistently do the similar thing over and over again. You mentioned a bunch of trigger points, and this is why I'm saying this. Like you mentioned earlier, you said, when I'm working with these successful people, all right, and what quantifies success typically, usually we quantify that by money. I don't feel as valuable to them because of why? Because you feel that you don't make that much money as much as they have. So it's like, but it's not about money. See that's
no, that is your perception. That's not how I feel.
Okay. Well, then what is it? What is it? What is it?
I'm wondering what you know so much about that. I already said it. It's about, like I said, it's about achievement. It's about me looking at myself in the mirror, and recognizing that I'm worth it.
Right, and you are worth it, man. But I feel like
other people apparently believe that, but I have to believe it for me.
Yes, you do.
That's difficult.
It's difficult for you. But I've had imposter syndrome. I think everybody has had imposter syndrome. But when you look at it and you digging down, and self-awareness and being honest with one person's self, it starts there. I had to be fucking honest with myself. And what I did find out is when I did feel this imposter syndrome, it was obvious to me. It wasn't any, I wasn't dodging myself and thinking it was this other thing. Oh no, it's not because I have money. I know exactly why I felt these things when I did feel these triggers. If it was because, this person, I was not there at a point in time where I didn't have the money like this other person had, or I didn't have this credential like this other person had. And so they said something, and then I might have felt some emotional pushback, like, oh shit, I'm not going to be accepted because this person has this over me, or this over. There's always, for me, and for what I've ever heard from anybody else, there's always some type of value that somebody has, maybe that you feel over you, to where you feel that you can't jump over that. So you feel like you just attack yourself. I mean, that's how it fucking worked for me. I just attack myself. It's like, oh, well, I can't. Who am I? Who am I to say this? Who am I to start a fucking podcast? Who am I to be a billionaire? Who am I to work at a tech company? Who am I to be poor? Who am I to be anything? There's a confidence on that, There's a lack of confidence. And that's what I found when I actually spoke with many people who had imposter syndrome, or even went through it myself. There was an actual reason of why it exists. There were trigger points that were exactly there that I could measure. It wasn't just something where I just I had to look at myself and I really didn't know what it was. I kind of knew exactly where my trigger points was. If it was because of somebody had more money than me, it was because somebody had some more fucking money than me and I didn't have it. Or because I knew that the status was, you need to drive a flashy car on here. And at the point in time, I didn't have money to buy that fucking flashy car. So I felt like an imposter when everybody fucking has flashy cars. So, it was obvious to me of why I felt like an imposter, because the word imposter means that you feel like you're talking to somebody else, or you're in a situation that you're not, you're trying to be something that you're not, and you don't fit in. So you're an imposter. When I worked at a big company and I first got in, I was like, oh, fuck, how did I get here? How did I get here? Like, why me? Holy shit. And I started laughing. I would laugh. I would literally walk around and laugh at myself, like, holy shit, who fucking tricked these guys to get me here? Like, holy shit, I can't believe I got here. It's amazing. But the fact of the matter is, I always laugh and I'm saying, you know what? I worked really fucking hard for it and I did it. And that is where it is. But, it doesn't matter. I think imposter syndrome is something that's really serious. And I think it's something that nobody ever gets over. Nobody ever gets over it in some ways, because there will always be situations where you will feel like you are not valuable, or the best in the room. So I think imposter syndrome is not a bad thing, but I always think like, hey, look, how do you defeat it? What are the signals
Sure.
and trigger points of it? And I think like for me, it can be money. Usually it's a lot of times for me, what I've always seen, when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's always usually about money or, not feeling like you have the right credentials and things like that. Those are usually the trigger points. It's usually not much of anything else because this is what society, not Americans, this is what society uses as little staples to judge you on. How good looking is your body, how fit you are. You go into a fucking gym where everybody's nice and ripped and in shape, and you're the person who's not in shape. You're not going to fucking take your shirt off. You might. I mean, there's some guys that don't care. I know some guys that don't care. They don't care. They're like, hey, I don't give a fuck. But most people feel like, holy shit, why am I here in the gym, dude? Look at me. I've got titties, and I'm not, I'm a guy, maybe I should have them. I don't know. I'm out of shape. I need to hit the gym, and it's not intentional. So it's like, you don't feel as confident about yourself in certain scenarios where the dominant, culture or where people feel like this is the cool thing. This is what I felt and I've seen through people in the past, because I think it's something that we all go through. And I think it has to do with mental health. And you mentioned self-awareness. You mentioned a bunch of powerful stuff about self-awareness, learning who you are, but that all kicks into that and self-awareness. And instead of, I think one big thing that I also think internally that I do different from a lot of different people. And I think it's a mindset thing. And I think yours started off where you said, correct me if I'm wrong, is you said, I don't feel that way. I don't feel good enough, or, this or I don't have these things, and it's just like, for me, instead of saying, why I don't do something and why I don't have this, I would say, why not? Why not fucking me? Who the fuck are these people? No matter what situation I've got myself in, whether it was the smartest school, around the smartest people, I'm like, why the fuck not me, dude? Like, who the fuck is everybody else? Why not me? Why do I not deserve it? And I think when you start thinking of that way, it kicks off a lot of imposter syndromes, because I feel that's just like a bad emotional feeling. That's just a demon that's there to push you down when you're just fucking kicking ass. And you're doing good shit, man. You're helping people. You're helping businesses. You should never fucking feel that way. You should just take what's fucking yours. And it's not about Americans or French or Finnish. And we're all human. You got to survive. You're great, man. You're doing good shit.
Thank you, coach.
Why not fucking you? I'm just a lover. I'm not a coach.
No, but you said some really relevant stuff. It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, man, what else do you do, man? Besides, I know we went on like amazing journey and chant about, random things of, imposter syndrome, which I think is a big situation that happens to a lot of, people in the world, and mental health. And, we gotta sometimes hug people, sometimes people need fucking hugs, and just, care about others and, and not always give a shit about ourselves. And I think that's an issue that really needs to be brought to light. But what else do you do, man? Like, what else do you do? What else are you working on?
I mean, we talk about coaching. We talk about mentoring startups. We talk about the podcast. Have we talked about the podcast?
Yeah, we didn't talk about the fucking podcast. Why did you Why did you start the podcast, Laurent? Why did you start the podcast?
Why? No, we talk about it because
you mentioned that you were getting some clients, and that's why you kind of started. Yeah. But was that the real reason why you kind of started?
No, it was because the first reason was because I wanted to have information about entrepreneurship.
Okay, crowdsourcing.
And so I really I thought that the best way to get information was to collect that information from the primary sources, the entrepreneurs. And so that's how I got the podcast. I launched the podcast.
So the idea and motivation was to crowdsource information so you can grow and get
and
connections.
Then inspire people, of course, because there's always that aspect. So inspire other entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs, or anybody with an entrepreneurial mindset.
What do you think inspires people?
The podcast. Sorry?
What do you think inspires people? What do you think people need inspiration?
I think the fact that when I talk to entrepreneurs, I talk to entrepreneurs like you and me. I'm not, and I think it's very inspiring to hear the stories from people who've been struggling, like maybe you're struggling right now. They've been going through the same issues, like maybe the same issues that you're facing right now, and somehow they got through it, and then they can tell you something about it. I think that is very inspiring. The other thing that is very inspiring, the fact that we have conversations like I have with you right now. Very open, very. I'm trying to get my guest to be as close to their real them as possible.
Yeah.
So because when they are in that stage, and you got me into that stage, this is where I started opening up and being more vulnerable. I'm trying to do the same with my guests, of course, so they can really talk about what they care, what they have on their heart, and what it really means for them to be entrepreneurs. And I have fantastic conversations, not as long as yours, because I try to limit my time to 35 minutes. But I'm trying to do the same, just do the same thing. And I hope that this conversation that we've had now for more than 1 hour, I hope that is inspiring and that will inspire other people. Maybe some people will say like, oh, no, there's something I should do with my imposter syndrome, for instance.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and that's why I really wanted to stick on that, because I think like a lot of people go through that. A lot of people go through this shit, man, and it burns and it kills dreams, and it needs to be kicked off as much as possible.
And especially entrepreneurs, is, we all see the successes. Nobody talks about the failures. And all these entrepreneurs, all of them, 100% of the people I've talked to, they all have been through failures.
But nobody cares about the failures, right? Until you win.
But they are so important.
Yes.
They are so important because they build you. They build your your resilience. Mm-hmm. They build your character. That's what entrepreneurs need. They need that resilience. They need to go through those failures and get up and get back at it again.
But what is an entrepreneur?
That's how you become.
But what is an entrepreneur? Is an entrepreneur a person who cares about money first, or is an entrepreneur a person who just helps people, or is he all of the above? Because to be an entrepreneur, don't you have to, you would think you'd have to care about, making money.
No, that is very, very clear. I see a lot of words coming back, in what my guests are saying. They use words like persistence, patience, opportunities, people, impact, purpose. All of these words come back again and again and again. There is one word that never comes back: money. So none of them are doing it for the money. If you do it for the money, you're going to fail. Money is just a means to an end. Yes, at one point you're going to need money to scale up. Yeah, fine. But don't worship it. Don't chase it. And that's not what entrepreneurship is about. Entrepreneurship is a calling. I think that's where it starts. You have it within you or you don't. Like one of my guests, I think, said it the best. He said, if you ask yourself the question, are you an entrepreneur? Chances are you're not. And I kind of agree with him. And so that's why I'm saying it's a calling. Then it requires a proper mindset. You need to understand that simple things. No, you need to understand basic things like entrepreneurship is a journey. This is where you need to start your mindset. It's a journey. If you're ever successful, whatever success is for you, okay, it's going to take ages normally to get there if it happens. It's going to change. It's going to be day and night. You're going to be eating, breathing, sleeping entrepreneurship. It's like you start usually from nothing, usually, and you build like your construction, piece by piece, but the construction never ends because there's always another piece, to add on top of it. And it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of patience. You don't have any guidelines. Try to build a house without a plan. It's like what entrepreneurship is about. And so you have to figure it out along the way. And so all of, that's what entrepreneurship is about. That's what it requires, a proper mindset.
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. But I will have to sit there and say, a lot of entrepreneurs' motivation trigger off of situations of money gain. Now, is there inherently this backbone of, there's tools that you need to be a successful entrepreneur, right? Resilience, like you mentioned, having the actual capital. You need some sense of intelligence. You need a little bit of luck and a mixture of that shit and shake it up. Like these are tools that I feel you need to be an entrepreneur. But and you need to have like a goal of like, why do you want to be it, and have that motivation behind it. I think there's a lot of people that sometimes have some other solid motivations. I think the initial motivation needs to be to help people in general, right? If you're not helping people, then you don't have no business, right? So that has to be number one. But you also have to have this idea of business and smarts of how you can actually accumulate money, because those are the people that actually make the most, and that end up, I mean, of course, when they make this much money, sometimes they feel empty once they get to the end and they made so much fucking money. They got billions and gazillion dollars or millions, but now they're like, oh, now what? Now that urge is gone. But what happens typically to entrepreneurs? They keep on going and doing it again, because the addiction of winning and accumulating and the urge of that just continues to go. But it has some layer where there's a solid component of motivation, which is money at some point, but not entirely money. But money is a big reason why a lot of entrepreneurs use that as fuel to keep on going. And maybe not for personally to have the money, just to have it to use, but just to reach these benchmarks to say, I did this, like a game. I mean, look at Nikola Tesla, guy who didn't give a shit about business, right? From what we can all look at in history. Looked like he didn't give a shit about business. He was actually seemed like he was horrible with it. He got fucked over, and he spent so much of his energy just trying to push out these ideas to push, humanity forward. And he got screwed over by it. And when he died poor, in a fucking hotel alone, and, with fucking pigeons was his friends. Like, that's a lonely fucking existence. He didn't care about business. He didn't care about money, But when he passed away, it didn't seem like he, lived this amazing, fun life for himself. He just, he had a bunch of failures and he had a bunch of successes, and, money, he had to rely on other people's money to push out the things that he wanted to push out to people to help innovate and help people. But he didn't get to do everything he wanted to do because he didn't have the actual money to do so. And he didn't think about the business structure first. Whereas like guys like Thomas Edison, these fucking guys fucked him over because you know what they thought about? The money. They thought about the business money. They did. They thought about the business model. That's why they destroyed his shit.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I agree with you. You need obviously you need strategy. You need the planning. Obviously, you're going to need money if you want to scale up the business. And there are entrepreneurs. Some people become entrepreneur because they need to make a living, and they need the money to live. So the best solution or the easiest choice for them is to become entrepreneurs. That is very true in Asia. A lot of entrepreneurs in Asia become entrepreneurs to survive.
Right.
Because there's no social security system. There's no supporting system from the government. That is very true. But we reach a point today where, if you look at what's happening with, we talk a lot about unicorns and whatever else. There's a lot of unicornism. So we reach a point today where you got all these VCs. They're going after startups. And so they have transformed startups into commodities. You know what a commodity is?
Yeah.
It's, your whatever, your what you buy from the grocery.
It's everything.
So they have transformed startups into commodities for their own benefits. What they want is they want to make high returns very fast. But think about it. If you're a startup funder, think about it. Is your startup a commodity? Really? Is that the game you want to play? If it is the game you want to play, fair enough, go for it. But the entrepreneurs I've been talking to, and a lot of them, that is not the game they want to play. They're really doing it because, like you said, they crave impact. They want to help people. There's this fantastic problem. Usually, sometimes it starts with them. They have a problem and there is no solution, so they create the solution. There is this fantastic problem that they want to build, and it's that is the drive for them. It's to continue building and building and building and building and building until when what's the point? And that's a bit of the problem of entrepreneurship today, and especially in the tech startup scene. What we're looking at with all these TV shows like Shark Tanks. I'm sorry, but those TV shows, maybe they got a great audience, but that is not the reality of entrepreneurship. That's not what it is in real life. Don't understand how an entrepreneur who is sweating a lot to build is tough. Okay, is negotiating with a shark, so like a shark. Money against equity, and very few money, very little money against a lot of equity. Maybe today, yeah, you need those 200K, great. But in 5 years' time, when you're given like 20, 25%, 30% of your equity, of your company, something that you created with your own hands, to someone who is an external investor, you may regret it, because your company is not your company anymore. That's not what entrepreneurship is about for me. And you have the right to disagree.
Yeah, totally. I agree that's not what entrepreneurship is completely. But I believe entrepreneurship, or a good entrepreneur, understands the models of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And part of knowing the models of entrepreneurship is knowing about your agreements and your legal structure that you formate the company on. If you don't understand the legal formation, these things will happen to you. So not understanding the business, not understanding how the money works, is the core component of why a lot of these businesses fail. So not understanding how the money works, you will fuck yourself. You will fuck your company. The reason why Mark Zuckerberg, for example, again, we're going to rant about him. The reason why guys like Mark Zuckerberg are on top of the fucking table is because the way his company was set up from in beginning points, by the people who coached him on how to set up his company, by the legal team that set up his company, and that legal team's network. This is why you have guys like Zuckerberg and investors too as well. He chose smart money. He didn't just choose random money. He chose smart money.
Mm-hmm.
People that knew the space, people that had connections in the space, and in general can bring them more money. He got money from PayPal Mafia and these guys who have massive connections. Reid Hoffman, Peter Thiel. These guys have amazing network. Elon Musk was a part of that originally too. So it's like he didn't take money from just a random, bucket of water, right? He took something that it was thoroughly thought out, and somebody who's strategic was coaching him on how to build a dynasty, right? How to build a great entrepreneurship, how to build a great company from his past negative lessons that he learned previously, because he didn't understand the money. He didn't understand the business, right? And the legalities of that, he lost his fucking company, right? So when you don't have this understanding of money, so I think what I'm saying is like, there's a thin line. I don't like the whole point, and this is where I'm at, Laurent, is like, I don't like the point of how people push this narrative of where, money is bad, or it sounds like it's bad, or it's like, oh, you shouldn't focus on the money. Well, it's not about necessarily focusing on the money. It's not praising the money. You need to understand how the money works. And if you don't have a confident logistics of how the money works and how the legalities work and how formatting a company works and how the media and the PR and all this shit correlates and comes together for you to build $1 billion company, it all fucking works as a machine. Like, you don't get there and make this much money and get into a point where you're successful and where you have a bunch of people to build a great company for you without having these strategic measures way ahead of time. You have to think before you sleep. And this is where successful entrepreneurs did. They had great informational and information structures, financially, mentally, physically, legally.
Sure.
Bezos.
Sure. No, definitely. I agree. I agree with you.
But I'm not saying we should hoard all the money. I don't believe in hoarding all the money. But
no. What I'm saying, we should not worship the money. When you're an entrepreneur, don't worship the money. Use it as a means to build your company. But don't go after it. Don't chase it. It will come when it comes. But first, like you said, there's if you don't, if you have the money and then you don't know how to spend it, you don't spend it properly, then it's completely useless anyway, because you're going to fail.
Yes.
Like
but
will the structure in place?
But will the money come if you just think of money as such a nonchalant, factor, right? I was like, it's just here and it's just a tool and will you, if you don't have that passion to really understand it, will you be able to build that beautiful castle?
I don't think it's. I don't think it's it's not nonchalant. I think it's a combination of everything. I think the passion, the passion needs to be there. That's the passion for building something needs to be there.
Yeah,
first.
Of course.
Okay, because if you don't have that, then you're not going to get there. This is where the the purpose, like what is it that you want to accomplish, your why. This is where it's so important, because in the moments of failure, that is something you can look at. Remind yourself why you started that journey, so that you can continue the journey. So it's a combination of everything. But certainly, if you don't understand how money works, if you don't understand how, startup funders, a lot of them don't understand how financial management work. They can't read P&L files. They they don't have a budget.
They don't understand projections.
They don't do. Yeah. They don't have cash flow projections. I mean, all of that you must understand.
Right. ROI. You got to understand it. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, this is what I think what my point, what I was just want to stick in there and make sure that we hold on to as people is, if we're talking about startups, we should never neglect the money part. And I feel like money gets a bad name. Money gets a bad name because so many people, you have these people who just look like they're just like, they're selfish. They're just hoarding all the money, and they just look like they don't care about anybody. And they're just, I need money. So it gets a bad rap. But I feel like it's a scary thing to walk away from that, because a lot of these people start listening. They're like, oh yeah, well, money's not the reason why I do this. Money, you start talking all this philosophical stuff that sounds great in the end, in the end. But in reality, if you don't fucking understand it, good luck with your fucking startup, because that is what keeps you alive. That is your how much evaluation you have, and then what's your runway. If you don't understand these financial system structures and how it all works to build this company and legally, like, it's good luck with your fucking company. Because I've built startups before in the past, and one of the biggest things that I always saw was the biggest failure was not my fucking resilience and my passion. The resilience and passion and cause and reason and why was all there. But all the fucking investors care about is how much money are they going to make off of it? 9 times out of 10, this is what it is. Cause it's not an emotional thing. It's not about my feelings. They're here to make money. They want to use that for their kids' fund. They also have a fund, and that fund is given to them, and the money and stuff like that through other people. So they have a responsibility. So for me, I always looked at it as like, hey, look, you got to fucking care about the money, because that was the biggest issue I felt that was always lacking, because you need to get that little spark of cash is the one spark of cash that can sometimes push you over to your next round, right? And when you lose that momentum, you can pretty much your whole idea and your passion, your drive, and all that funny, awesome stuff that you made up just can totally float out the window.
Yeah. And we're on the same page. I totally agree with you. The problem is that we reach a point where a lot of startup funders also think that it's okay, I'm going to find investors, I'm going to get the money, and everything will be fine. Absolutely not. This is not how it's going to work.
That's an idiot rule of doing that if you think that. But that's definitely somebody newbie in there if you think you're just going to find this.
No, but I've seen that mentoring startups.
I agree.
I've heard it several times.
Yeah,
I've heard it for several times, and that is when we reach a situation when we worship money, and that is absolutely not the approach you should have, because you're going to fail.
But maybe I'm stuck. Maybe I'm stuck on the actual the word usage of it. Maybe it's not the whole stuck on money and like those things, because people typically use money as like some fear tactic to make people feel like you're just selfish and you're not. You're just being an asshole because you just care about money. And it's used as something to insult people at some points, right? Because some people use it to empower themselves, and some people use it to insult others. Oh, all you care about is money. Well, fuck, dude. Yeah. Last time I checked, my lights need to care about money. Last time I checked, kid cares about money. They got to go to fucking school. Last time I checked, nothing runs for free in my car. Last time I checked, the world operates off of money. Like, what are we talking here? And it's like there's this big demonizing culture of money, but it's almost it's hypocritical. We need it to function. And I think it's more like it's not about hating money. And I'm not saying you're saying that at all, but I think like some of the directions people take it as like, it's, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't like money because money's bad. I need to worry about my resilience and all this other stuff like that. But I've seen a lot of founders who had all those things, but they fucking sucked with the money and they failed.
Oh, there's no question. If you suck at the money as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail. No, there's no question No question at all. As an entrepreneur, as a founder, cash is your number one priority because you need cash to run the company. So I totally agree with you. I'm talking about worshipping the money.
Right.
Doing it for the wrong reason. And one of the wrong reason is doing it for the money. And
For only
for
money.
the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's, then Laurent, there's these weird ass people. There's a lot of, the Facebook movie came out. We're talking about that shit again. The Facebook movie came out 2012. It fucked up the market. Everybody wanted to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs kicked out of the fucking warms. Everywhere there's entrepreneurs after that movie came out, because then it fulfilled this fantasy that you can be this billionaire, you can be this smart kid and just be in college and you can skip the whole line. And so it just fueled a lot of entrepreneurs. And a lot of those entrepreneurs became successful entrepreneurs. A lot of them failed, of course. Mostly all failed, but a lot of them did become. Like, you've asked them what was a lot of their motivations. Of course, partial of it was, they wanted to change the world. But, a lot of them are living in their big fucking castles, and they're not really changing the fucking world. They're only changing, their new houses. So it's like, at some point, motivation and money, it really just depends, because some people, that is their motivation, that is their push. A lot of people I've met in the successful world have had motivation of money. They were poor when they were growing up, some pain. When I was little, I was poor and I didn't have food. So now I feel like I need to accumulate, like a hoarder, more money. And not saying everybody's like that, but there's different triggers for people. And sometimes, even if you just care about money, they still become successful. I know plenty of people who just care about money. They became something like, what the fuck?
But then the question is, are they happy?
But that's a separate issue, right?
No, it's not.
You think not?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's the same. I think it's the same issue.
So there's been plenty of people.
The saying, money doesn't buy happiness.
Right, but you don't think that's a separate issue? Because there's plenty of people who became who are working in companies. They built a lot of the things in the companies, and they got really wealthy. And there wasn't their 100% intentions to make all this money, but they just got successful.
Yeah.
When they got there, they realized, they also thought, because it was an extra component, that money was there, and now they didn't have to worry about this. But now they were bored, and now they really didn't take time to look at other things in their life.
No, but those people, I'm sure they're happy.
Now they are, but a lot of them didn't. Like, there's a lot of them, like Justin Kahn. There's guys like that who were, a part of YC, and they started out Twitch and things like that. These guys talked about it. They weren't coming to initially just like to worship money. They just wanted to start a company, and it was just like some ideas, and they just moved out and kind of just did some things, and they were passionate about it. Their startup wasn't really making money, but then there was the component that of course I could make money off of this. And when they got to the point, from what I'm referencing, they realized, hey, well, money didn't make me happier. But it wasn't their motivation, but they realized that money still didn't make them happy. And I think that was just something that they thought too as well. It's like, hey, well, I'm doing this for this cause, but I'm going to get paid for it too. That's awesome. But now I've got all this money, and guess what? This doesn't really fulfill me. But I'm saying, like, even the people who have not put that, money ahead of things as like the thing to make them happy, or the motivation to build their company, they've came back and said, hey, look, they also thought that money was going to make them, change things for them, and that didn't help them at all. So they still had the same type of issue of lack of happiness. And then there's some people who just have this happiness when they've gotten the money. Is it at some point that some people are just different and they take it differently?
Yeah, and also I also believe that I truly believe that money will not buy happiness.
I agree.
And I don't think there are a lot of people who are chasing the money, only focusing on the money who are happy in life.
But do you have to be an entrepreneur and build a successful company and to not be happy? Like, there's poor people that aren't happy.
Of course. But there are poor people who are also happy, and the rich people who are not happy.
But why does always, when we start talking about money, that automatically we ask, oh, they're not happy. There's poor people that aren't happy. There's rich people that aren't happy. There's rich people that are happy. Does it automatically mean when you get money that you have to have this, not happiness component? Why is that always brought up?
It's a good question.
Do we demonize poor people? Do we demonize? Do we demonize rich people all the time because we think they only care about money, so they're not happy? That always seems like the byproduct of a conversation.
But okay, I've lived in Asia.
Okay.
I've went into rural areas,
Right.
poor rural areas. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I've seen people who are not happy.
Right. But isn't that relative?
Right?
Isn't that relative
It
to the
is.
area?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like-
yeah, of course it is relative.
Because like people in New
I've
York,
seen-
they're poor as fuck, right? There's people in New York that
Yeah.
are really poor, but they live right next to rich people, so they see all the time what it's like to be rich.
It's the same. It's the same.
But
it's
if
the
you're
same
super
Asia.
poor in the middle of
I mean,
nowhere, do you see what's happening in the bigger city? You don't really go there.
Not when you're in the middle. Not when you're in the middle of nowhere, but you see
Right.
on TV. You have access to TV. You see stuff.
But most of the people around you are
And-
all poor.
I don't know. I'm not a I'm not a specialist on a question, but I do believe that. Well, I'm gonna take my example. I used to have more money. I used to make more money than I'm making now,
Mhm.
but I was not enjoying it
Right.
because I was too busy working. I was too busy partying. I was too busy not being home. Now I have less money, but I am more aware of the value of it.
Right. But it's also the quality
And
of
so-
time, right?
Sorry?
Like the
The
quality,
quality
of time. Yeah. I mean, like now you care more about quality of time
Yes.
because you were working more to make more money and not actually see working less but still making the money. Would you feel the same? Because like if you were still working less, because like you've worked so much that seems like it was the real issue of why you actually just felt burnt out. I was working so fucking much that
Sure.
now I just don't feel like I feel like I'm just chasing the money
No,
and it's not
No,
adding
but
up.
what I'm saying is,
Hmm.
I was making more money, but I was not enjoying it. I didn't. I reached a point where I didn't really care how much I was spending. When I was going out, for instance. Okay, that is not my value. This is not who I am. And so now I make a bit less money, but I enjoy it more. Because I understand the value of it more, and also because I have more time to spend it. True.
Right. But I understand that. And I think what I'm still asking though is everybody that makes more money doesn't have to work thousands of hours. I'm asking like,
No.
was it the issue of you had to work a lot and you didn't like what you were doing more than actually just because it was the money? Because if you still did the things that you did that you do like, and you have more time and you have all those other things and you still make more money, would you be upset about the money? Is the money, was money really the root, or was it really the root that you
No.
weren't doing what you were happy?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was the work and the situation I was in.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. A lot of people,
But I was not enjoying the money.
because you didn't enjoy what you were doing.
True, but then what I believe is that I believe there's a lot of people
Yes.
who come to a point they don't have money, and suddenly they have the money, and they want to have the big car, the big house, because they are chasing stuff. Like they're going to one point to another point, thinking that once they reach there, they're gonna be happier.
Right.
And then they realize that once they're there, they're not happier, and so it's like, okay, what's next? And so they forget to enjoy the journey. They always
Right.
focus on a destination,
Right.
and I think that's one of the issues that money brings.
Right. I mean,
You know,
I think what I'm saying is I agree with you 100%. Besides the fact that I think that it's money that brings it, I think it's people's expectations of money is what brings
okay,
it. Do you see what I'm
fair
saying?
enough.
But I think we just
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
it
fair
on
enough.
money. I think that's where I'm at, is like we tend to just demonize the money. They're just, and people do that in society. We either praise money or we demonize it. And I'm just always looking for this middle ground where it's like, hey man, it's just a tool, and it's a great tool that helps me legitimize certain things that I want to do in life. But that's it. I don't marry the money. I don't worship the money. I'm American, so I need money. I have to have money and billions of dollars. No. I don't wake up and just think about the money, but I understand that money is a tool, and I mind it and understand it for that. But at the same point, of course, quality of life matters fucking more. But at the same time, money matters as much. I like a balance, a happy medium of things. And I think if you can think of that way and have it as a balance to where you understand that money's important, it's not your whole holy grail, but at the same time, your quality of life matters. And if you can find a middle place, which I think a lot of people can't, they end up finding an either or. They have to dump either or because society tells them, well, if you care about money, you're going to lose quality of life. How many of those rich people are happy?
No.
How many of those rich people are
That's not-
happy? Rich people are all sad. They're depressed. I mean, that's typical things that that people say that are poor. We demonize rich. Oh, they got all that money. They got all those cars, but I bet you they're miserable in their house. Which I've seen poor people that were miserable in their house. I've seen middle class that were miserable in their house. I've seen people who had their bills paid that were miserable in their house. It has to do with people, not the money.
I agree.
We got to work on ourselves. Give ourselves some fucking hugs. But yeah, Laurent, man, you've been an awesome fucking guest on this show, man. I've had some great conversations with you so far. It's been entertaining. We had some great pushback and some great learning lessons there, man. I made some veins come up your head.
You've challenged me a lot.
But I definitely got to give you a hug out there, brother. It's all love. I appreciate you as being a human being and, helping other people. I mean, helping people is important. I love helping people too, man. I totally get it, man. And I wasn't just busting your balls. I get in that same thing in the past where I've just, get out there, try to help people. And I've put myself last. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, as you said previously, sometimes you need to echo that back out to the universe because you notice that thing sometimes in yourself and you need to work on those things. And when you see it, you're easily at identifying that and helping other people. And that is a beautiful thing, self-reflection. So keep on doing it, man. Keep on killing. Congratulations on the podcast. I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. It's been awesome, dude. But if you want to hang on
thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So if you want to hang on for a couple of seconds, I got to make sure we upload. And so everybody can enjoy this beautiful fucking conversation we just had. It was so fun. So fun. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV. Let's go.